I want to welcome everyone to our first public forum on our search for the next MU Chancellor. By taking your own personal time to attend this public forum, you have demonstrated a passion for the university and a recognition of its vital importance to Missouri's future and a desire to be involved in this important search process. As such, all of us together are on the same page about the need to achieve excellence in the appointment of MU's next Chancellor, befitting the university's elite status as a public land-grant AAU institution. Since its founding in 1839, the University of Missouri has been firmly committed to the mission of educating and serving the people of our great state and beyond. With the diverse enrollment of more than 34,000 students from across the state, nation, and world, nearly 270,000 alumni worldwide, and more than 13,000 employees, MU has emerged in the 21st century as a leader in teaching, service, research, and economic development. Such an institution demands, let me emphasize, demands a dynamic leader who accepts nothing less than the ongoing pursuit and attainment of excellence. Our university has a unique mission and requires a leader who can champion the benefits of accessible, high-quality public education, foster the growth of rich economic development potential characteristic of a research university, engage the many constituents that support this university, support and enable campus leaders to achieve their goals, and constantly think and rethink and innovate all the ways that a 174-year-old institution can educate students. Lastly, advancing our state by creating jobs, delivering solutions, and building new opportunities to advance Missouri's future prosperity. Like the leaders that have come before, the next Chancellor of the University of Missouri must understand and respect our historic institution, its stakeholders, and its role in the state of Missouri. He or she must seize strategic opportunities, cultivate important relationships, and lead this university to new levels of greatness. As president of the University of Missouri system, be assured that we will work diligently to identify that next outstanding leader of our university. We are committed to a selection process that will be broad and inclusive, with an emphasis on including input from as many stakeholders as possible. And that means everyone. That includes faculty, staff, students, alumni, retirees, extension, healthcare, the business leaders of our community, partners across the state, and obviously everybody here in this audience today. And that's really why we're here today, is to hear what's on your mind. We are exercising our due diligence to ensure that there is balance, including establishing a search committee that will assist in identifying prospective candidates that will play an integral role in finding and aggressively pursuing the best candidates. We expect to be naming members of this search committee, which will include a broad representation of campus constituency groups, including faculty, staff, students, alumni, retiree, extension, other units that comprise the University of Missouri system. We expect to name those in the next few days. The invitations have gone out already. And because we expect to select from among the very best people for this most prestigious position, we will keep the names of all candidates strictly confidential. This means, in essence, that the search will be closed. I and our team are committed to being transparent and accountable about the process. We cannot, however, disclose any details related to candidates, which would complicate our intent on securing the very best talent in the industry. As we know, higher education is highly competitive. Our university is engaging in an external search for a new chancellor for the first time in 2 decades. And it's happening at the same time that other prominent institutions like The Ohio State, Michigan, Florida, Penn State, and others are looking for leaders at the same time. The last thing we want to do is jeopardize our ability to secure the best possible candidate for MU Chancellor because the name of that candidate has been made public prematurely. For that reason, we will keep the identities of potential candidates closed to the public. We have a timetable for this search that is aggressive yet reasonable. Given the market and the attractiveness of the University of Missouri, we believe we can hit this date. And while we're aiming to have a new chancellor announced before the conclusion of the fall semester, We will not sacrifice quality for time. We will not sacrifice quality for time. So we do have a schedule, but that schedule is flexible if we can't find the right candidate. Our great university demands this type of process, but before we get to that point, it's crucial that we continue the process we've laid out on getting comprehensive input from those many important constituencies that I've already mentioned, which is why I've already begun this process, meeting with various stakeholders to get their thoughts on the traits that they desire in a new chancellor. Still to come will be similar meetings with other groups, including faculty and staff across the state, extension, enterprise, alumni, academic leaders, and prominent supporters of the university. But today is the first of two town hall forums involving the university community and public. You'll get an opportunity to have your voices heard this morning. We want all you to thoroughly understand this process and be deeply engaged in our search. We will take the information and feedback we receive from these meetings, and it will help form the basis, along with input from other constituency groups, as we develop our formal position description for the next chancellor, as well as the charge that we give to the search committee. I look forward to hearing your observations and answering any questions you might have, so please don't be shy about stepping up to one of the microphones that we have here in the auditorium. And the next hour is all about you, so please get involved in this conversation. As you make your point, there are three areas I'd like each of you to be considering when you bring your comments to the group. Those three are up on the screen, I believe. Yes, they are. What do you think are the required competencies, attributes, and traits for our next chancellor? How would you rank or prioritize these qualities? What do you think are the key areas that our next chancellor needs to be particularly strong to take us to the next level of a campus and as a university? In addition, as you'll see at the bottom, we have our website. We have a search website, which is where we're going to keep everybody updated as to where we are in the process. On that search website that you'll see up there, there's an inbox. So for those of you that don't feel comfortable in making a comment today, you can use that website or you can tweet a response. So there's multiple ways of getting information to us, again, that influences and informs the job description as well as influences and what we charge the search committee to look for. So please take advantage of that. Or if something comes up after this conversation this morning that you want to comment on, please feel free, because you all do inform and influence what it is that we're looking for in terms of the next chancellor. So let's keep those overarching themes in mind as we go through the next hour, engage in this dialogue. Before we begin, though, I do want to thank everybody that's here today. You are agreeing to be part of this process, and I commend you just by your participation today. I commend you for your passion in the University of Missouri. So let's get started. We have, again, two microphones up here. Don't be shy, so please feel free to approach the microphone with any comment, question, recommendation that you might have.
Good morning, Mr. President. My name is Galen Supis. I'm with the Department of Chemical Engineering. I'm a professor in that department. And my question goes to attributes of the Chancellor. But I have a 60-second story to say before that. If we go back about 4 years, then President Forsey and I think Graham was spearheading this action on a system level for online courses. They were gung-ho, they were pushing it forward. And I presented a question to Forsey in that town forum, and that question was very simple. Are you going to respect faculty authority on the topic of curriculum? Because faculty have direct authority on this campus on curriculum. And Forsey looked a little bit puzzled, and he said, well, we'll let Foster go ahead and answer that question. Not very much of an answer, and so I said again, are you going to respect faculty authority on the topic of curriculum? And Forsey diverged the question again, but then Deaton stood up and he said, yes, Galen, curriculum is a faculty authority, and we're going to respect that. Now, the topic is shared governance and faculty authority. when it comes to this topic, I've classified 5 different measures of understanding and practicing a respect for shared governance and faculty authority. The first one is knowing what it is. The evidence indicates that FORSI did not even know what shared governance or faculty governance was. The second is to recognize that shared governance and topics like faculty authority on curriculum is indeed a contract with the faculty and is well defined in the collected rules. Deaton rose to that level. He knew what it was, but FORSI did not even appear to know what it was at that point. The third level is to actually go through the actions of this in the form of puppet committees. Committees where the administration has total control of it and will give them the answer they want every time. And this was the general mode of operation that this campus is operated in. There are faculty that the administration know if we put this person on the faculty, they're going to give us the answer on the committee. They're going to give us the answer that we want. The fourth step is to actually practice faculty governance in its spirit and put faculty who will not always give the answer the administration wants, but will do what is best for the university, which is often at odds with the agenda of the administration. And the fifth and highest level of this is the point where you look at the collected rules and you recognize there is a true wisdom in having faculty in charge of curriculum, of people who are contacting the students, working the students, teaching the classes, and having that. And so the ultimate level is recognizing is not only are these collected rules there, but they make a lot of sense, and we have to follow them to attract good faculty. And so, obviously, the point I'm trying to make is that an attribute of the Chancellor should be a great respect for faculty governance, all the way to the highest level of recognizing that there is far greater wisdom in the collected rules on shared governance than any single person I have ever seen on this campus to date. There's a lot of wisdom in those collected rules. And so that's the point I want to make to you and the committee, that this is very important. But I do have a question for you. And the question is, in my opinion, with some of the very stupid decisions that were made on this campus in the past in relation to NSEI and a number of issues, one of which I'm personally involved in, we would have been better served by a rock as a chancellor that basically read, follow faculty governance procedures to the letter and in spirit. We would have been better served by that than any person. And so when you come forward and you say, we want to get the best chancellor possible, could you give me some examples of what you consider a good chancellor would do? One that we're going to spend some really big bucks for, versus a not so good. What are the things that a good chancellor will bring here? What are the milestones? What are the things we can expect from a good chancellor as opposed to a stone sitting in an office that does nothing?
What I hear clearly from you is the new chancellor has to understand, respect, and prioritize shared governance. That's what I heard. Is that fair? I agree. I agree with you. And that should be a charge to the search committee and as part of the job description. So I've got that. If we're aligned and agree on that first point. Are we agreed on that first point?
I don't understand what you mean by prioritize faculty governance.
I don't either. Somebody that understands it and respects it. I don't know how, it depends how they prioritize it, but just the importance of looking for candidates that understand, fundamentally appreciate the value of shared governance and how you use that in your decision making, how you use that in the difficult decisions as you steer a university towards greatness. That's what I hear, and I agree. And I believe we are definitely capturing that, and that will be part of the job description as well as part of the charge to the search committee. In terms of your second question, for me to answer that question in terms of what I think influences the conversation that we're having today, what I would like to do is hear from you, but without me influencing what you think are my priorities. I want to hear from you as to what the priorities are. So I would like to defer the answer to that. I don't even want to answer that question because I think it starts to influence the possibilities of this conversation today by me commenting on what I'm looking for right now, other than what I have in the prepared remarks previously.
Thank you for this event, President Forsey.
I'm
John
President
Budd.
Wolf, but that's okay.
President Forsey. Galen messed me up here. President Wolf.
Galen messes me up too.
My name is Galen. No, wait. My name is John Budd. I'm with the School of Information Science and Learning Technologies. And I'd like to tackle the three questions in order. And this is purely a personal opinion. In terms of competencies, attributes, and traits, I would like to see our next chancellor be a proficient academic. By that I mean someone who has experience with effective teaching and someone who has been a knowledgeable and effective scholar. I would like to see the next person have extensive political acumen, because we live in a politicized as well as political world. And I do believe we need to stress the voice of the mission of the university to, for instance, the people in the General Assembly in Jeff City, as well as all of the population of Missouri. And I would like to see a commitment to shared governance. And I'd prioritize those in that order. When it comes to the areas where the next chancellor needs to be strong, I would like to see a progressive chancellor, someone who doesn't necessarily take the status quo as it is and proceed therefrom, but someone who is going to take a fresh look at what the University of Missouri can be in the future and lead us in that direction. Lead us as a teaching institution, as a research institution, as a land-grant institution, serving the state of Missouri and beyond. I also understand that the next chancellor is going to have decided skills with financial, what's the word I'm looking for?
Acumen?
Looking for money. That's what I mean. Someone who can go out, spread the news of the institution, tell the good word that we're doing, and be able to bring in the people of the state who want to support everything that is good about the University of Missouri and open their wallets, checkbooks, what have you, and make us more financially strong. I don't think we can rely on the state of Missouri all of a sudden having an epiphany and saying, oh my goodness, we have to double our support for the University of Missouri. So we're going to have that kind of financial support coming forward with the leadership of the chancellor. So that would be my own perception of tackling these three questions that you have up here.
Thank you. Appreciate your input.
The first one, and the major one, is we live in a world where the culture have to change. So this is the first that the chancellor has to do, is a change of culture among the staff, the faculty, the administrator, everything. We can no longer live with the 70s, with the 80s, with the 90s. We need to move to the 21st century. The second question I have is, how committed are you for looking for an outside chancellor? Because the last three, they were internal candidates. So if you want to answer that question, and then I come up with the other two questions.
Okay. Can I, before I answer the outside candidate question, can I have a little bit more in terms of changing the culture? What do you mean by change? What kind of culture do you aspire to, or would you recommend? What kind of culture change are you Dreaming.
the choice of leaderships at lower level, from department chairs,
Okay.
from deans, from vice chancellors, from the chairs and the deans, and the chancellor himself, he is held hostage. And in my view, cannot make decisions because he is evaluated, or she is evaluated by what the faculty, what the deans, what the like him, as whether he's a nice person or not a nice person. The evaluation should be on achievement, productivity, leadership, where we were last year and where we're going to be next year. Not because I think he's nice, or I was watching the Prime Minister the other day of Britain, and he says, the individual before me said status quo. Yes, the chancellors and all the leaders, they take the status quo because they are evaluated by the faculty, by the people who are under them. So they cannot make decision. And if you cannot decide, you cannot make change. So that's the culture I was speaking about.
Okay.
We have to pick a chancellor that can choose leaders who can make decisions.
Got it.
So that's the answer for the culture.
Okay. Thanks for that. And I now appreciate and understand that. So let me answer your question in terms of the outside candidate. We are going to get all the input from these sessions, these multiple sessions that we have, that's going to establish what that bar is that candidate needs to clear. We are not eliminating any internal candidates, but that's going to be a pretty high bar. So if there's an internal candidate that aspires to be the next chancellor and he or she has the qualifications and skills and competencies, they can compete for this opportunity. That being said, I think that's a pretty high bar, so I can't predict if the probability or the percentage of it outside. I have no idea. I would suspect that the bar that is going to be set suggests an outside candidate. I think that's the way it's going to play out. But I can't. I'm going to let this process play out and get the great ideas from people like you, and let the search committee that represents all the different constituents do their work in terms of taking the charge and the requirements that have been defined by these sessions, and use that as a screening tool to look at the candidate pools and determine what are the finalists.
My name is Nick Draghi. I'm the president of the Missouri Students Association, so I'm representing the students here. I think first off, I think I have to say that, as everyone recognizes in here, we have some big shoes to fill, and we're very grateful that we have to have tough conversations like this because of the things that Chancellor Deaton has done. I want to start off by starting with the priorities question. And I think in the many times that I've heard Chancellor Deaton speak, he's talked about how coming into Mizzou and taking this position, he had priorities that he wanted to accomplish himself. And so when we talk about ranking and prioritizing qualities, I almost think it might be more important as we're looking for the next chancellor to make sure that they have their motives and their missions prioritized themselves, so they know how to go about accomplishing those things. I mean, talking about the attributes and traits, I think I'd more like to talk about some areas that I think are going to be really important for the chancellor to focus on. And then maybe that indirectly will lead to attributes and traits. One of them, the last gentleman kind of hit on, I think, with increased costs of higher education institutions and decreased funding. And you're seeing something with House Bill 253, which you opposed in Kansas City. And you're also, we saw this with the bonding issue, which I was with you in Jeff City for the bonding issue, testifying against that. It's becoming more and more important that we have a chancellor that is advocating on behalf of students and is willing to interact with legislators and to fight for students and the university, faculty, staff, and funding in general. And I think having a chancellor that's had experience with that is important, or having a chancellor that is confident to be able to go down to Jeff City and do that, or to work with legislators and stand side by side with you and voice the opinions of the Columbia campus specifically is very, very important. I think Chancellor Deaton did something that is really important and hasn't been done at a ton of other institutions nationwide and has kind of put us on the map in that, and that he has created a bridge between the world of academia and the world of service. And I think that that has to be something that's a priority for our next chancellor, is for them to have a passion for helping others and have a passion for community development and international development. If you talk about Chancellor Deaton. And I think that the insights that he's provided with our students on how to do that and how to get engaged and how important that is to not only your time in college but your time after is extremely important. So I think having a chancellor that service and philanthropy is important too. It will be key. I look at what the Chancellor Deaton has done, and I have to say that he has been extremely interactive and open to students in general. And I think having a candidate that has interacted with students is extremely important. There was never a time that he was not reachable or accessible, and I think that has to be something that the leader of the University of Missouri has to have. And I think finally, one of his priorities, and I think it should be the priority of the University of Missouri system, and I mean, I think it has been, is accessibility of higher education and accessibility of the state flagship university. And Chancellor Deaton certainly did that, and I think moving forward we need to continue that mission. I think that should be important, and not just accessibility on affordability of attending college, but what are the resources that are available while they're here at the university. I mean, we have more and more students going to college, but yet we have increased percentage of first-year dropouts. And so I think focusing on the resources that we're providing to retain our students is extremely important. And so that's all I got. Unless you have any questions, just shoot back at me. Okay.
No,
Cool.
I think you prioritized appropriately and came up with some great criteria. So
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. While the next questioner is coming up, let me just talk to you a little bit about the process that we're using. We're capturing all the input today. You'll see copious note takers, but we're also, should have said this before, we're capturing this video and audio, and we're going to be taking all the input from all the public sessions that we've got, combining it, and coming up with, again, the priorities that go into the job description and the charge for the search committee. So if you see me not taking a copious note, don't think that I'm forgetting it. It's going to be captured and used. Christopherson, good morning.
Good morning, President Wolf. Good morning, everybody. My name is Christopherson Culmer. I'm a doctoral student in computer science here at the university. I think I can't really add much more to what's already been said, but just kind of to reiterate some things that have already been said. Having had the opportunity to serve on a search committee for the system academic, vice president of academic affairs, I understand by the time we get done with this process and we get done with this compiling a list of attributes and qualities that an appropriate candidate should have, we'd be looking for a guy named Jesus.
Or a lady.
And so I think ultimately the person that fills Chancellor Deaton's shoes is going to have to be someone who's well-rounded in a lot of areas, but it's important that they come into the university with an understanding of what the University of Missouri is, the flagship institution of the state of Missouri, a member of the AAU, and an institution that's dedicated not only to the education of the state of Missouri, but also the economic and social upliftment of Columbia and also the state of Missouri. I think a few areas that I think Chancellor Deaton has been very strong in is that, one, like Nick said, he's always been open to students. He's always showed the desire to be directly in communication with students, and I think moving forward, that's going to need to be something that our Chancellor is committed to. It's one thing to have someone who's in charge of this machine at the top, but doesn't know how the cogs, down at the lower level work. And so, being that the purpose of this university is to educate students, I think it's important that the new Chancellor have a commitment to meeting with and talking with students and understanding what those primary needs of students are. Also along the lines of diversity and accessibility. Many students, we have students from every county in the state and 48, 49 states in the country. And I think we need to continue to build the student base of the University of Missouri to resemble more of what the world looks like. Because as our students leave here and we enter the workforce, with the economy becoming more globalized, we need to be able to understand and relate to people of different races and ethnicities, socioeconomic backgrounds, and what have you. And in closing, I think everything that's been said about the funding of the university is key, fundraising is key, but I think that commitment to the core of what the University of Missouri system is going to be what our next chancellor really needs to focus on. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopherson. Can you stay at the microphone? I'd ask, since Christopherson was part of the search committee for our recent hire of Dr. Hank Foley, the Vice President of Academic Affairs, Research and Economic Development, could you comment on the process and in which you participated in? Because it's going to be similar in terms of what we were going to do. So I thought somebody that was on a search committee could comment on what you liked or didn't like, or for the rest of the group. Could you comment on it, please?
Okay. As a member of the search committee, what happens is there's a search firm that vets candidates nationwide, whether they're internal or external. And as a part of that process, they then measured the candidates' abilities that they were coming into that they presented on their resumes and CVs with the job description that was provided by the system. They ranked those candidates in 3 pools, not necessarily in order, but in terms of what qualities they presented. All the candidates were presented to the members of the search committee, and then the search committee went through 2 rounds of narrowing down the field via Skype interviews, and then finally we had in-person interviews where we narrowed the field down to 2 candidates. But I could say that there was no preference whether the person was going to be internal or external. We had internal candidates as well as external candidates. And I think President Wolf did a very good job of defining the characteristics he was looking for in a vice president of academic affairs. And so the committee took that, and basically our goal was to match up the job description with the competencies of the candidates vying for that position. So, and I can truly say in that process, whether the candidate was internal or external, it really didn't matter. Once you get to that level, you're basically looking at how well the candidates can perform at the given job. I was very pleased with the work with the search firm. I was happy to see that the same search firm was chosen for the Chancellor search. They did an excellent job with the vetting of the candidates and presenting a thorough background of the candidates to us. If ever the members of the committee had questions about areas we were concerned about, the search firm was then able to go back and research or let us know the information that we needed to. And ultimately, I think President Wolf and the committee who served was very pleased with the decision that was made. So serving on that committee, I have the utmost confidence that the search firm and the committee that's formed to find the new chancellor will ultimately find the best candidate, whether internal or external.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
My name is Latricia Vaughn. I work in the Nuclear Science and Engineering Institute on campus, which has been tried to have been shut down for over a year now. My questions will come after a short synopsis because I am very concerned about some of the issues that are pillars of this university. One of the things that concerns me about the administration here is the way that they look at salaries for faculty and staff. Staff should not be kept at a level where they have to change jobs to get a decent raise. That has disturbed me ever since I started here 17 years ago. I'm still in the same job because I love my job. I love the faculty I work with. I work with students on a daily basis, and I love it. It's awesome. That's what I'm made for. But I have been the victim of political actions from the administration. When my faculty tried to raise my position from a senior secretary to an administrative assistant, which is what I actually am and do, that petition was denied more than once. They had very good reasoning. Everything was good, but it was a political decision to deny me that raise. And I finally got a raise because I raised enough stink and told them, I'm not getting paid as much as someone off campus who comes in and applies for my job. And now I barely make above that. Okay, so I'm concerned about politics on this campus. That's a huge issue for me. I agree with Dr. Suppies on the shared governance by the faculty. They have a lot more understanding of what is happening on the local level with the students and the staff. And it disturbs me a great deal when their requests and advisory committees are being totally ignored. I have seen it too many times on this campus, and it goes back to the politics of the current administration, with you accepted. Thank God for that. I respect what you have done for the MU Press, and everything else. I know you've done things for us. Thank you. Anyway, with two of the pillars of the university being honesty and integrity, I have great concerns that those be checked out on the local level from wherever these candidates come from, so that we won't get someone who is a snake in the grass but looks great on the outside, because I have seen that type of person on this campus. He projects an image of being your best friend and your best advocate, and then he will turn and stab you in the back. And I don't want someone like that coming back to this campus. We need honesty and integrity. And one of the issues that I have with Chancellor Deaton is that the Faculty Council passed a resolution in March or April, I don't remember which, restoring NSEI to its position before it was supposedly shut down. And Chancellor Deaton has done zero about that. Zip, not a nothing. I am in a position where I am the main contact for new students coming to NSEI. I have been cut off and cut out of that process because of supposedly experts in the field who are now taking over that position. I know what those kids need to have, grade-wise, academic-wise, to succeed in our department. There's new students been admitted to the, quote, nuclear engineering program, which doesn't legally exist. And I have no clue if those students are going to succeed, because you have to be extremely intelligent to be a nuclear scientist, which is what we put out. And I hope that when you have this search going on, that you create a rubric for all of your qualities that you want. You want someone who's competent, you want someone who knows how things work at a university, you know how things should be, but also I am praying that you put honesty and integrity on that rubric and you give it a high score, because other things can be learned, but without honesty and integrity, nothing else really matters.
Thank you. I do appreciate what you do, and I appreciate your comments. Honesty and integrity is really the foundation that we need to build off of and looking for potential candidates. I agree. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lisa Driscoll-Hawksby, and I work for the Center for Family Policy and Research, so a little bit off campus, and I've been here for 2 years. I can't tell you how proud I am to work at the university. It's a huge source of pride for me, and I realize that there are lots of the ways that we can become better. But I think that sometimes it's easy to focus on what's wrong instead of focusing on what can we go right with. And so I have done a lot of hiring in my time, and my suggestion is really more for the search committee, and that is to find the person that has the guts for the job. We used to talk about that. Resumes can be beautiful things, and they can be enhanced and tweaked and have all the glitter, and you can be blinded by the fabulousness of a piece of paper. But we have lots of folks that have really valid concerns and really wonderful wishes for what we can be, and it's going to take somebody that really has the guts for the opportunities to really take the university forward and to shine in those great times, but to also be humble enough to say, I made a mistake, or we can do better. Because I think that in my experience, even people that are disgruntled with whatever decisions have been made feel more connected to the possibility that things can change if they know that the person that is ultimately making the decisions is humble enough to say, it may not have gone exactly the way we wanted it to, or we may not have been able to give everything we can, but we were transparent and we were honest, and you got to see how it went, and I promise I'm going to keep working on it. So I think a lot of times, especially in an academic setting, we want somebody that looks really awesome and it's flashy and wonderful, but we can't lose the fact that they're going to have to be willing to work to represent everyone, because we're a really broad and wonderful, diverse group of folks. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments, Lisa.
President Wolfe, I want also to thank you for letting us have this forum. I'm Gary Link. I work in the athletic department now. I graduated from the University of Missouri in 1974. Very proud of my degree from here. We had challenges with faculty in 74. We had challenges with funding in 74. And I'm here to say that we'll have challenges with faculty in 2014, 24, 34, and funding as well. Clearly, that's all of our goals. A couple things that I think the Chancellor, really needs to be, whether it be a man or a woman. And let's remember this too: this Chancellor that we're going to elect, and I get goosebumps thinking about it. What a task that we are giving them, and we got to all get behind him or her. No matter whether we think it's the right one or the wrong one, they deserve our support. And we got to back that person with everything that we can to make this great university even better. Three things, that I talked about, a lot of my campers about, and I think the Chancellor needs, and I call them the 3 C's. He must be confident, she must be confident in what she just does. He or she must have the courage to act on being confident. It's not good enough just to think that you're confident. You must have the courage to act on that, and then more importantly, face the criticism. And that kind of goes back here a little bit. You're going to get criticized, and that's okay. I mean, that's good, because you do your job, have the courage to make the decision, take the criticism, and then go forward. And finally, the thing that I think the most important thing that the Chancellor has to have is he or she must be very passionate about our students. That's what it's all about, ladies. That's why we're all here. We're here for the 35,000 students that are here now, that are going to be coming here the next 4 years, and we want to make sure that every student here has the greatest opportunity they can. Chancellor, surround yourself with great people, let them do your job, but have a passion for the students. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Gary. As the next person's coming up considering a question, let me give you some insight in terms of the marketplace. I talked to you about some other universities that are looking at coming up with a new chancellor or president, depending upon the university and the title. You have to appreciate the value and the importance of this MU brand that's been established over the years by all of you that have participated in this. This is a very, very strong brand in the higher education industry. Just hopefully that encourages you, as I am optimistic about the candidate pool and what we're going to see in terms of candidates. Yes.
Great. I wanted to thank you and compliment you on some of the changes you have made, because as was mentioned, there is a culture problem here. And the old culture, bad culture, was so ingrained that a new president like yourself wouldn't stand a chance to change it unless he had the fortitude to make some real changes. And one of the things, I'd like to comment on the culture aspect. One of the things that is wrong about the culture here is that the administration is not held accountable. There is a mode of operation where administration protects administration. They put vice provosts on committees to make sure that the top priority is to protect administration no matter how bad they're, and this can lead to real problems. So accountability of administration for real milestones is a detail of the culture change that was mentioned that we need here. I think the name was Latricia from nuclear science, and my comment on what she has to say is, wow. I was thinking here, is anybody going to mention integrity and honesty? Because there are problems with integrity and honesty on administrators on this campus. Is anybody going to mention that? And I thank you for mentioning that. An aspect of integrity and honesty is exactly the example she provided with the resolution put forward by the Faculty Council regarding nuclear science, and the Chancellor has done nothing. What is that? When the Faculty Council puts something up before the Chancellor and the Chancellor does nothing, the Chancellor knows what faculty governance is. What is that? That is what is referred to as passive-aggressive. That is an action that is clear as can be as passive-aggressive against the faculty. Big strike on honesty, integrity. Doing nothing can be a major aggressive action. It can be a major indication of a lack of integrity. And so I ask that you really pay some attention to these comments because they're very good comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Peter Wilden. I'm from the School of Medicine. I've been here over 20 years and have been here under chancellors who have been from outside sources, Chancellor Kiesler when he came in, as well as internal individuals. I think that there is a role for a firm, well-grounded understanding of the uniqueness of this institution, its role within the community, its role within higher education within the state. And I think that having worked in the system office and have worked with administration throughout all of the campuses as part of the system, I've seen over the years a large number of administrators at lower levels who have worked here and gone to other places as chancellors, as provosts, as chief research officers. Do we have an interest, and will we be looking at those individuals who have gone to Minnesota, Colorado, Arizona, Florida, other places, and targeting those individuals who have a history over the years that may have an interest in returning? And have those individuals been identified? Have they been addressed by the search firm? But there's been other individuals that have been in St. Louis and Kansas City, have been in Rolla, that all have a sense of what it means to be part of the institution as a whole and the role that may be unique here.
Well, I can only say I stand before you because I grew up in Columbia and I'm a product of the state of Missouri, a product of the public schools, a product of MU. And that was a very, very important criteria in terms of having a background and knowledge about one of our 4 great campuses, but also understanding the uniqueness and the difference between St. Louis and Kansas City and Springfield and Kirksville and all the things that the state is wonderfully diverse and wonderfully different, but if you're not from the state, it's a steep ramp that you have to climb to appreciate all the wonderful things about this institution as well as the state. And hopefully we can find somebody that has had some time on this campus or in this state, but we will take that as part of input to the search firm. Let me tell you a little bit more about why we chose the search firm. This search firm, because we just got done with a successful search that I might that I'll emphasize that we did in 3 months. We were very, very successful with what's going on in the higher education industry and the amount of change and flux that's occurring right now. You actually have an opportunity if you move fast, if you're focused and you move fast. So we did the last one in 3. We're trying to do this one in 4.5. The reason why we use the search firm is all of the competitive candidates did not come from responding to an ad in the Chronicle. They don't. They were pulled out of their seats. They were pulled out of their comfort zone by the search firm, because the search firm focuses exclusively on higher education. They do a little city, county, but really it's higher education. They get us. They know the differences, the nuances, the great things about the state of Missouri, the University of Missouri system, and MU specifically. So they're comfortable. We don't have to get them up to speed. And therefore, because they know that, they look for certain characteristics and certain types of people. I would suspect I don't want to be critical. I would expect a Ivy. As you know, I was in Boston the last 5 years. An Ivy League New Englander that has never ventured out of New Englander probably wouldn't be comfortable in this role because it's just different. Just has different requirements. That being said, we have to appreciate that we're looking for candidates that have the expertise, and if we have to take some risk on somebody that has to ramp up because they didn't spend time in the state of Missouri, we just have to make sure that we calculate what the exposure is on somebody that has to get ramped up on that. But I think your point I know the point that you say that now go out and charge the search firm right now to start looking at those that came here, did a wonderful job, earned an additional responsibility, as you said, in Florida, Minnesota, wherever. Let's go find those people and see if they're interested in competing for this.
Character is not something that one can buy, one has to have it. It's not something that can be sold either. So honesty, integrity, all those go with the character. The second thing is a chancellor has to recognize that a university is bottom up, it's not top down. We have thousands of faculty who do their independent things and contribute in many ways, staff also, but a chancellor has to make faculty's work possible, because therein lies successes for our students, for our staff, our institution. But a chancellor also has to note that even a very best faculty at times can let the standards slip down. And chancellor and the administration has to help faculty maintain standards. If there are areas where we have been deficient in the last few years, it is the matter of standards, really. I served as the chair of the College of Engineering Promotion and Tenure Committee about 10 years ago, and I was astounded that again and again, when we recommended against hiring with tenure of certain faculty, they were still hired with tenure. And I watched those cases very quietly. Rarely I have seen, successes there that I attribute to a strong faculty member. So we cannot let our standards down. A chancellor must maintain standards. He must help everyone else maintain standards. And he must make faculty's work possible. He or she, So I would hope that the committee you have will watch for those characteristics that you would watch, and you will hold those fairly high in your priorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Sudarshan, can I just ask a follow-on question?
Sure.
From a character standpoint, we've mentioned honest and integrity. Is there anything else that you'd like to comment on that goes into that, has to have that strong character statement?
Definitely, it was mentioned that one should have courage, really, for one's convictions, really. And all of us recognize that hard decisions would have to be made. Mm-hmm. And we would hope that those hard decisions are made in consultation with faculty, with engagement. And it's a necessary part of character that if you make a mistake, or if you recognize that you've made a mistake, then you step back. And let things, and I have deeply admired your actions on the press. Initial step, was not well taken, but you backed off, the press is back on its feet. And, to me, it's very manly, really. And that's a part of character. And I had worked with a dean in engineering years ago, about 20 years ago. He was, a hip shooter. At times, he would make very quick decisions. He was decisive, But when we had discussions and he was convinced that he had made a mistake, he would step back and right the things. So it's the internal security, confidence that all go in courage.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, President Wolf. I'm Elizabeth Cogswell. I'm in Foundation Relations in the Development Office. And I hope that you will take a hard look at the hiring that this person has done in their previous position. There are a lot of dean's positions and provost position coming up open before too long. And I think finding someone who can hire and put on search committees people who can do strong hires so that this integrity and honesty is carried out at all levels, that would be very important. There's going to be a real turnover here. And I would like to see someone who is, at the one hand, I agree, honesty and integrity is critical to fundraising, but also someone with some charisma who can do that and who can speak be heard at the national and international level and recognize that the university is not going to make it on the basis of the assets and resources that are here within Missouri, and therefore we need to look outside Missouri much more than we have for resources, and has a track record in motivating people to give to the university, and also to look at tech transfer that goes beyond, well, it certainly looks worldwide for opportunities, will be important. I think it's going to be someone who understands the importance of our AAU status. I'm not sure that the people of Missouri understand that, but certainly higher education understands it. And if we're going to attract good faculty here, it's not going to be just on the basis of the resources that we can provide them or the salaries that we can provide them, but the opportunities to do their work. And I think we need somebody who's going to find the resources to give them the support that they need to pursue external grants, NIH grants, NSF grants. I don't think they have the support currently to really pursue those and attract them as much as needed. So someone who has a good plan for how we maintain our AAU status and can give the best faculty reasons to be here other than just salary support would be important.
Great.
Dana Vessel, Educational Technologies here at Mizzou. I think one of the things that's really important for this new chancellor to have is an understanding of culture here, as well as what's going on in higher education in general. One of the things we're seeing is we're seeing tremendous changes in higher education, and we have to be prepared to meet those. And so that really requires an understanding of what's going on out there, what's going on here on campus, because as somebody once said to me, culture eats strategy every time. So we want somebody that can help us change in the ways that we need to change and knowing what's going on out there. Thanks.
Thank you.
I thought of the other thing I wanted to say, and that is that certainly the trends in higher education appear to be more about preparing students for job readiness than an appreciation for the importance of education as a historic, forever important contributor to society and culture. And I hope that this person, while being savvy about how to work on economic development, technology transfer, also has an equal appreciation for the role of the humanities and the arts and the social sciences and the value of education for education's sake.
Great. Thank you. Let me summarize and close this meeting down by again thanking you for your input and your time. I know that you're all very, very busy. This was a very productive meeting. We'll have several others. I'll just also remind you that if something comes up in the search process that you're concerned about or you want to have input on, again, if you could just bookmark that one page that you'll see up there, you'll stay current on that, but also have the opportunity to provide continuous input. So please take advantage of that. Have a great day, and thank you very much. Thank you.